Jamaican-born Michael Holding was one of the biggest names in the West Indies cricket team through its golden era of the 70s and 80s. His bowling so fast he earned the nickname Whispering Death.
And he'll peel for caught behind, he's out.
Now a cricket commentator for Sky Sports in the UK, he attracted global attention last year for his raw and emotional response to the Black Lives Matter movement.
They keep on telling me there's nothing called white privilege. Give me a break. I don't see any white people going into a store on Oxford Street and being followed. A black man walks in, somebody's following him everywhere he goes. That is basic white privilege. Whether that white person went in to rob the place or not is not going to be thought of that way. And things like that have to change.
Holding has written a new book called Why We Kneel, How We Rise, which focuses on racial injustice and includes the voices of some of the world's top sporting heroes. Michael Holding, congratulations on a very powerful book. In a lot of ways, it's perhaps not a book people might be expecting either about sport or about dealing with racism. But perhaps we could just start to talk about the differences of experiences that people have, depending on the colour of their skin, by the story you tell about touring Australia as part of the West Indies team in 1975-76.
Well, that is something that I've tried to explore and try to explain to people the differences that we experience. As you talk about that 75-76 tour, that was a tour that the West Indies lost comprehensively to Australia, but that didn't really matter because we were outplayed. But the fact that Australia had so many great fast bowlers and so many West Indians got hurt, in Perth in particular, and there wasn't a fuss. We did not fuss about it. The press did not fuss about it. But as soon as the West Indies team returned the compliment, it was a different matter. You know, we were now changing the game. We were brutalizing people, and it was no longer a sport. It was people were being victimized. And, you know, it couldn't quite understand why all of a sudden that had to change.
The book features interviews with a range of really world-class athletes of colour, Michael Johnson, Usain Bolt, Australia's Adam Goodes, and they document their experience of living with racism themselves, but also the decisions they have to make about speaking out about it. And in your own case, you say that you sometimes felt you had been very selfish. Why was that?
Yes, because I did not face up to it at all. Whenever I came across racism, Laura, what I just told myself is that I don't live this life. This is just something I'm going to be experiencing for a short period of time, and I'm going back home. It might have been a bit different if I had lived in Australia and faced it, or if I had lived in the US and faced it, or I lived in the UK and faced it. But every time I just told myself, I'm going back home. And that was the way I protected myself. It was selfish because, you know, so people will say, if you come up against any injustice, you should speak out about it. But I was just a young man trying to protect myself and trying to tell myself that this was not my life. And to be honest, Laura, I'm glad that I did do it that way, because history has shown us, history has taught us that people who speak out, young black athletes, or any black person that speaks out about injustice and talking about the treatment of black people, they have been ostracized.
One of your biggest points is about the fact that it's not just about what's been happening in the last few years. This is basically about history and how it's told over hundreds of years.
Well, Laura, what I'm trying to do is to explain to people why racism started, how it started, you know, why it had been perpetuated over so many years. And that is what this book is all about, to educate people about the entire system. Nothing was taught about black people or people of color throughout history because they did not want role models to be established. For you as a young person, doesn't matter the color of your skin, as a young person, you look at role models and try to emulate them. If you see people that look like you doing great things, you think to yourself, if those people can do it, that means I can do it.
You were spending some of your time each year living in America, but you decided to leave in 2019. But you've argued that part of Donald Trump's legacy might actually be that he's forced the US and the world to see white supremacy as a dangerous problem.
Yes, well, people have been arguing that, you know, that Donald Trump's presidency was a big blot on the US. And people have been saying, you know, it was a bad 4 years and so many bad things happened. But I have heard this saying, and I have always believed in it, that every dark cloud has a silver lining. And I think the silver lining of Donald Trump's presidency was that the people in the country, in America, and people around the world recognize that there is a problem with white supremacy.
Well, you're now in the UK. How does the racism debate seem to be playing out, in the politics of British politics now? And is it being misused still?
I think it is. I think the politicians are trying to divide and rule. I think they are trying to start a culture war, although a lot of people here in the United Kingdom are pushing back against that. But of course, people in government, a lot of politicians, even when it comes to the footballers and them taking a knee, the Prime Minister himself did not condemn those who were booing. The Home Affairs Secretary said they have the right to boo if they want to boo. So, I don't think leaders of a country and people that are voted into responsible positions should be behaving that way. But, that's politics.
Thank you so much for talking to us tonight.
My pleasure, Laura.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 7:30's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.